So, quick recap on what happened last session. You all met up in Serpent's Calling. You began your wonderful, wonderful journey with the help of Cadmus. And on your way to Delvey, you found a dead body, and you chose to save it. And now it has joined up with you as you make your way into a silver scale. And upon reaching there, you all took a look around and noticed that it was very much empty. There was nobody on the streets, nobody moving around. Night had not quite yet reached, but it was approaching. And you noticed that the majority of the buildings surrounding you were metalworking and blacksmithing. No real residential homes to be spoken of, and the things that could count for inns or taverns were quickly thrown together, it looked like, and more like huts and hovels. Although you did notice with that perception check, you guys did notice that there was an assortment of very, very large cages that were being built and repaired, many of which have been damaged in some way or another. And you also noticed that you guys were not actually alone, as there were individuals not necessarily hiding, but watching you. And as we pick up, the Furbolg that you guys acquired seems to have once again lost consciousness and has passed out yet again.
He needs his beauty sleep.
It's gonna be out for the entire campaign.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. He took.
Yeah, he
you
just
plucked,
recovered from
13 arrows out of him or something?
Yeah.
Oh, and
That's
Andrew, do
excessive,
be
no
sure
matter
to mark down how many arrows it was that you acquired out of him into your inventory.
How many did I acquire out of him?
You acquired 8 arrows out of him.
Okay, that's right.
8 arrows. That's an excessive amount, no matter what.
So, the evening is yours. What are you doing?
If I recall correctly, right before the end of the last session, we sort of rode through town until we found a stable and pulled up and started to tend the horses.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nomad would share quietly with the others that the inhabitants of the town are watching, but won't make any attempt to approach them unless approached first.
You've been to this town before?
No. This is my first time in Venaru.
And then how do you know they're not going to approach us unless we approach them?
That's not what I... No, so Nomad told you that they're watching, and then I said Nomad is not going to approach them unless they approach us.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And these, how large are these cages that are being repaired?
So, being this close to the ocean, you would typically guess that this would be something for like holding catches like sharks or possibly of another marine life, or perhaps a way to transport larger catches from things like deer or what have you. These are much larger, as it would seem to be spacious for something like a deer or maybe even a bear.
So it deals in large animals, period. Pretty much.
Sure.
Most likely. and we're just stopping off here because it's on the way to the place we're trying to go.
Mhm.
And it's late in the evening.
It is almost reaching nightfall, but not quite there yet. So the sun is still setting.
And this is a seaside village.
On the map, you are right there.
It is not necessarily by the ocean, but it is probably a 7 or 8 hour, 7, 8, maybe a little later, longer jaunt to the ocean. I would guess that these are kind of like, not necessarily dunes, but like sort of barren hills.
More or less, yeah.
There's this area that we're in right now, this sort of like light brown area, Ashen Wake, it's probably San Diego, is what it is. It's probably brushlands, scrublands. There's no real trees or like big plants. It's just tiny little shitty scrubs and stuff in the middle of like not quite a desert, but a very arid landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct in that assumption?
The land seems to be more salted earth, as vegetation, like you said, is very sparse. It's very scarce. But the soil doesn't seem healthy. It seems almost burnt. If that helps clarify it in any way.
Interesting.
Although to the west, you do have a wonderful view of the Amethyst Edge, which is the mountain range to your west. That as the sun is setting, catches the it catches the peaks of the mountains and gives off a faint purple light, almost like it's looking through tinted glass. It's rather nice to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give me one moment? I gotta poo. Is that a yes?
Yeah, you're fine. You're
Okay,
fine.
I'll be right back.
Elbrig, you do
Yep.
notice that Samson is rather uncomfortable here.
Yeah.
Like, not aggressively barking or growling, but seems rather on edge. Like, uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And Misty also would seem a bit lost here, as she doesn't seem to be familiar with this place at all.
I really don't know what to do with this creepy little town. Think probably gonna stick with the party. I don't really have any. Morning. Actually, I'm curious. Well, fuck it. Let's go. I'm probably gonna take a walk around town
Okay?
with Samson. Like I'm gonna keep Samson next to me, break like a hand on his back as we take a quick. Actually, I'll just hop on Samson and take a ride around town, seeing what I can see.
Alright. So, as you are leaving, the northwestern path seems to lead out of town further. The southeastern path seems to be where you all came from, and it is just a singular path that just runs through the middle of this town. As you're riding around, yeah, it looks pretty barren. Like, the majority of the shops look hastily made. There's an assortment of emptied carts with no horses that also seem to be in a form of repair needed. The good majority of the place, like, there's not even, like, what seems to be a general store around here. As you're passing by buildings such as, like, taverns and inns that you believe that's what they are, you don't hear the typical merriment and sounds of revelry that typically accompanies a tavern or an inn. You don't really hear anything. Maybe a hushed whisper here and there, a slight shuffling of feet or boxes here and in the corner. It's rather unnerving.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you do see these large cages.
Gonna quickly take a quick pass by one of these cages. Is there any residue or anything left over?
Make an investigation check.
Yeah, 15.
You got a 15. Looking into it, you're more or less unnerved and kind of trying to, like, do a little bit on a quick fly. But looking in, you do see that there are, in some of the cages, that looks to be drops of some kind of liquid of some kind. The bars seem very worn. And it doesn't seem that there's too much damage, like, structurally, but that it's more or less there's dents and dings and just overall care need to be done to these things. But as you're standing next to one of these cages and kind of looking around, you do see what looks to be blood in one of them. And
That's-
now that you're up close and standing near one, these things probably stand somewhere around 7 feet tall. And probably goes back about a good 10 feet.
Mm,
Can I ask a question unrelated to D&D, the campaign, or anything?
Sure, what's up?
If the Kool-Aid Man took a dump, what do you think his stool would be composed of? Would it just be little ice cubes?
I think it'd be drywall from all the walls he runs into.
That's possible.
Oh
It's
my
got to go
God.
somewhere.
Alright, but yeah, that's what the cages look like, and yeah, you found what looks to be drops of blood in one of them.
The people need answers about the Kool-Aid Man.
We'll address that later.
Okay.
And the blood is assumingly red or like normal blood color.
It's dried, so it's more brownish, but
Right.
whereas you would expect for like a hunt or a catch, it's not pooled. It looks more like spatterings.
Like someone, I mean, wouldn't think this is like someone was tortured or something like that. Like you said, spatterings, like someone got slashed or something like that, or more
Perhaps.
just like droplets.
So you're still kind of keeping an eye out, so you can't really be too full into it, but
Mhm.
you can make an
I mean-
assumption.
Yeah. Well, this isn't creepy at all. And when it comes to have I seen anyone as I ride Samson around town? Anyone out in the open?
Out in the open, like on the roads, no. Although looking to the other path that completely bypasses this town, you do see a few other carts and other riders taking that path. as it seems that no one truly cares to come through here.
I see. Like you said they're just going around the town.
When you
And
guys
this-
first came up here, there was a divergent path, one leading to the right, one leading to the left. The one to the right seeming that it led to this town, and the one on the left seems to bypass it altogether and head straight to what would be the next town.
Okay. And so far, from what I've been described, this is like a shanty town, or just a town in much disrepair.
From the looks of it, it doesn't look like it's in disrepair. It looks like it was just quickly thrown together. It
So not
wasn't
necessarily a
structurally
shanty town.
sound.
Okay. Well, actually, it was. When I say shanty town, because people can make homes out of. Well, like back in the day, like there's the castle and everything, and people sometimes make a shanty town outside the town. But do I think it's like that, and it just became an actual town, like that type of rush?
More like it centered around the blacksmiths, and then kind of like expanded out from there. But it's
Okay.
not even very large by that sense. It's
Mhm.
probably at max maybe 20 buildings.
I see. Yeah. I mean, after taking a circuit of the town, I think I'm gonna come back to the party and just say, seems to just be generally bad vibes here. I mean, we've got merchants going around the town, and everyone is, like you said, kind of just off in their own homes or something like that. No one's even out on the open roads.
Nomad will ponder a second and say, "It is perhaps not best to pry."
But didn't do any prying. I took a quick circuit around town, pretty much, and that's it.
All right. So, are you guys looking for an inn or a tavern possibly to try and stay at?
I think so.
I'll be
I
looking
mean-
for a tavern for a bit while the horses are getting fed and rested.
I mean, maybe tavern and inn might be the same thing, or at least a combo.
I don't know if this is that kind of town. There might be.
I mean, I feel like that's exactly what this type of town. There would probably be multiple things would be in the same place because this town is really shitty.
No. Usually the places that have the big combo in taverns are like the big cities. This is the type of town where if you wanted alcohol, you'd have to buy it from some dude. You wouldn't go to like
the one dude sitting on a barrel with leg missing. I need another round. Yeah, go get it yourself.
All we know is an apocalyptic event for this town is the Kool-Aid Man coming through and busting their walls.
Shit, just a horde of beavers. It'd be over.
Yes.
Well, I suppose that we'll look around and see if there are any inn-type buildings nearby.
All right. For the sake of brevity, I'm just going to go ahead and say you do find two, and neither one seems very lively, and they're pretty well right next to each other. Almost like they're sharing the same building, but it's clearly separated into two.
Like a duplex.
Yeah, sort of. But it's not that it's, completely dark. As it is lit up, there are candles and whatnot. But you don't hear any sound coming from within. Like there's the general murmur and mumble and whisper, and the occasional clink of a tankard on wood. But nothing else aside from that, really.
Maybe it's just a quiet night.
Perhaps.
Hold on. I'm going to roll a d2. If it's a 1, we go to the left side. If it's a 2, we go to the right side.
A deed.
So in character, you're flipping
We're
your
going-
coin.
We have
We're
names.
going to the left in.
All right. As you walk up to these ends, you realize they don't even have names.
Aw.
I know, sad because I make some amazing inn and tavern names. But
I was
yes,
hoping for Prep in Hole 1 and 2.
Well, all
shithole A, shithole B. That's your options.
Yep.
we need is room and board for the night, so that's fine.
But so as you walk in, and it's just the motley crew of the four of you, as the Furbolg has been left passed out in the back of the cart.
Yes.
He'll be fine.
Fine.
As you walk in, the silence, strangely, somehow, grows even more silent. As you do look around, you see there's a handful of people in total in this inn, which it is an inn and a tavern. The upper level being an inn and the lower level being a tavern.
Well, that's not too out of place. Usually, when people walk into a quiet tavern, everybody stops to see who came in.
But you do notice that almost everyone here is human, with one of which being what looks to be a half-elf of some kind. And they all
Is
have their eyes
there-
on you.
Is there somebody tending the front desk?
Looks to be.
Nomad will casually walk up and say, "Hello, we are looking for board for the night."
The bald man, human, who is leaning against the counter there, looks at you, looks at Tyrell, looks at Misty, and then kind of leans over and looks at Elbrig atop of Samson. And you see him just kind of look back to you and, sorry, we're all full up, with a slight shit-eating grin.
Nomad will say, "I see. Do you know if there are any rooms in the tavern next door?"
They're all full up too. Sorry.
I'll make an insight check.
Alright.
About. You're gonna make an inside check about.
I got a 20.
So, whether or not he's telling the truth doesn't seem to matter. Just judging by his body language and the look on his face and him scanning over the lot of you, doesn't look like he'll be serving you. Based on whatever reasons.
Well, Nomad doesn't understand, but he'll say, "I see."
Mm.
Then, at the very least, can we stay in the stable?
You see him just kind of think for a moment. And then just, you're asking if we'll let you stay in the stables.
Yes, with our cart.
With the horses.
Nomad, pauses for a second, and then says, "Yes?" Genuinely confused.
The man is staring at you, also genuinely confused. Why not just try a different town then? As, I'm not sure how quiet them stables will be, or if they'll remain vacant throughout the night.
Well, that's the threat if I've ever heard one.
Nomad, genuinely confused, will say, "Is there some trouble with the stables?"
And he's just kind of, nah, nah, just, not sure how comfortable you'd be.
No, Nomad. Hey, come here real quick, Nomad. Come here.
Nomad will glance at Elbrig and then turn to the man and say, "Please wait one moment." And then we'll go over and hear what Elbrig has to say.
So
While he's
just
doing that,
just to be clear, I am trying to whisper so that it's just me and Nomad, who hear this.
Nomad would lean in.
Definitely would tell you to lean down, lean in. You haven't had a lot of social interaction with a lot of people, have you, Nomad?
He would kind of look at you and say, "I'm surprised you noticed."
Yeah, it's kind of obvious. So just point this out, and I do believe we should. I normally do not like to travel at night because can't actually see at night without light sources. But this innkeeper, tavern, or whatever you want to call him, is clearly hinting that they don't want us here, and that if we stay the night in the stables, which wouldn't be comfortable because I literally knock on you. I'm not made of metal, and the stables are uncomfortable. Um, they just don't want us here. So I think it's in the best interest of us all, especially because we have a downed individual to just kind of move on and not chance whatever trouble is happening in this town. Because obviously there's something going on that we don't need to get involved in.
Nomad would think on it, and then say back to Elbrig, "Allow me one chance.
One chance for what?
I will try to persuade him."
Why? Why do you need to persuade him? And about what?
"It is dangerous to travel at night, and we have an injured man. Resting in a town is our best chance."
Not in a town that's literally okay. I don't know if you picked up on the clues, but socially, this town is hostile versus us. We are better off camping.
Nomad would turn to Tyrell. Has Tyrell been listening?
yeah.
Just sort of inquisitively, like, "Is this also your opinion?"
I'd say my opinion is he's not wrong about the town being sketchy, but it's better to rest in a town than out on the road.
Like, seriously? When the town is obviously hostile, how is that better than on the road? Wild animals we can take care of. Humans are the ones who are unpredictable. Or
Wild
humanoids.
animals are not what I'm concerned about.
Exactly. I'm concerned about the humans in this town. Humans are the most
Humans
dangerous
in this town, I'm
humanoids.
also not concerned about.
I keep saying humans. I'm sorry. Elbrig would say humanoids.
Humanoids in this town, I'm still not worried about.
Why?
There's a lot
Why are you not worried about them?
of things that happen.
Nomad would nod and
Yep.
say,
Keen on it.
Nomad would nod and just say to Elbrig, "There are worse things roaming in the wilderness than animals."
I thought you guys were new to this. What? What are you? Seriously?
Anyway, I'm gonna order a drink from the bar now.
As you approach and you try and ask to order a drink, he smiles at you kindly and then says, "Fuck off."
Nope.
I just smile
Nomad,
and tell him once you do it first.
Sorry,
Not helpful.
can't be done.
Nomad would turn back to the man and catch his attention, and then say, he would say this: We are traveling through to Delvi Ixnum. We only need
Oh.
to stay a single night. There are the 4 of us and a single man who is injured in the back of our cart. It is
Elric is
dangerous in the
face palming in the
wilds,
background.
especially at night. Please, we will pay as much as we can. All we need is room and board for but one night. We will leave as soon as the morning comes. And persuasion.
Alright. Go ahead and roll.
Great. 15.
He looks at you, thinks about it for a moment. You see a thought pass over him. Fuck off kindly.
Now can we leave?
Well, we can
Nomad
go to
would turn.
That's a comfortable place as any. I'm saying that loud enough for the bartender to hear as well.
As you say this, you guys do notice that the rest of the individuals in this inn have gradually begun to stand and are moving a little bit closer.
Well,
Noticing
I'm
this
leaving.
and seeing that his last-ditch effort to appeal to him has failed, he'll pat Tyrell on the shoulder and say, "It seems we have no other choice."
We stay in the stables.
I feel that
No.
we should leave.
Yeah. We still gotta wait a little bit anyway. The horses still need rest.
Making the road out of town.
As you all turn to leave, Misty turns to leave as well, but you notice that her ears have been twitching this whole time, and she's kind of glancing up above your heads as she goes to leave.
Oh god.
No, Nomad will glance up.
It's just the roof, or at least the floor above.
No,
Does Misty hear anything?
She kind of glances over and kind of gives you a sideways look, and then proceeds to leave.
I'm following Misty.
So you all
no.
exit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. As you all leave, they kind of are a little bit wary as you leave, watching as you go. But one by one, they'll go back and sit down.
As we're leaving, I look at crap, what was your name? Our person who tried to order the bar. I was looking at your guys' names.
Sorry?
The guy who ordered the bar.
Tyrell.
Taro. It's like, there we go. Why would you antagonize them?
Because if I spent every day being worried about pissing someone off, I wouldn't get much done.
But you didn't need to. It was not a worry about pissing someone off. You didn't need to do it. There was no benefit to doing it.
Oh, there's no benefit getting us there anyway, so why not?
Because there's a detriment. As you saw, they began to get up and begin to be aggressive.
Oh, they just got up. If it continued, they would have got aggressive, but
That was
they're making sure something doesn't go out of hand.
only because we left.
Yeah,
But you
do you
didn't.
on us?
Misty is quickly walking towards the horses in the stable.
Nomad would be keeping pace with her and would ask, "You seem disturbed. Is something wrong?"
She slows down for a moment, letting everyone catch up, and then just turns to the three of you and goes, "Those rooms had no windows." She's right. As you all look back at that inn, there is a second floor. but there's no windows. There's no signs of being able to see in or out. And yeah, looks like there might have been there once, but have been boarded up.
So no windows. Did you? Your ears were going a little crazy there. Is there? Did you hear something that set you off, or is it just the no windows thing that's creeping you out?
You see her kind of look back over you all, and see me to be keeping her eye around, and then leans in really close to Nomad and whispers something. And then turns and proceeds to quickly walk back towards the horses again.
Oh boy, getting ready for a DM. A direct message, not a dungeon master.
Another one. What?
That's all she says, and she's quickly walking away.
Well, I think because it's Nomad, he would think it's odd, but wouldn't feel the need to mention it or do anything about it.
Okay.
That's okay. I would immediately ask them, "What did she whisper to you?" Why? Since
Nomad
I
would
asked the
pause
question.
a second and then lean in and say, "She said that it sounded as if someone was crying."
So yeah, we're just gonna leave the town, right, and just go around. Not a problem, right?
That is the intention.
All right,
Nomad
cool.
says,
Thank
looking at
God.
you like confused. Returning to the cart and the horses, Nomad would check to make sure they have had sufficient rest to at least make it a little ways further down the road and that they've been fed properly.
Okay. The horses still seem pretty fine. Like they still seem to be in good spirits. They seem a little bit tired, but nothing warning of danger for them.
All right. Nomad will look at the others and say, "I will ride on the front this time. My eyes work better in darkness."
Okay.
All right. So you're all mounting up and heading out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You have the option of heading northwest, which is following the road through town to continue on, or you can double back and take the additional 2-hour trip back to the fork and go back the other way, past the other route.
I feel like we should. I feel like it's obvious that we would just keep going through town. There's no reason to take a detour just to get out around to take a different route. I mean, we are going to be leaving town, so.
All right. Do you all agree to this?
Yeah, I mean, the other one's leading the way.
All right. You get everything locked back up, horses groomed, hitched, taken care of. fed, watered, and you proceed to make your way through town. And as you pass by, you notice that the eyes are still upon you, watching you leave. But nothing hinting towards someone trying to follow you. And about 10 minutes of riding, and you are clear of Silverscale. Which will
I
put you.
assume that Apex is the one driving again.
I would assume.
Or Tyrell, sorry.
No, didn't plan on driving it this time. I thought you and Missy were going to be up front.
Okay.
All right.
Alright, it would be Misty then, up front with Nomad. And Tyrell, Elbrig, and the unconscious Furbolg in the back with Samson. Alright.
I would also be checking on the Furbolg because he's been unconscious for a while now.
Seems to have stabilized. And is just sleeping.
He is resting off severe fatigue.
Which I don't remember if he actually told you guys where he came from.
He did. He said that he specified that his village was out by Sunder Hollow, and we were like, "You're here," and he was like, "What?"
Yeah, Misty would be the one that actually knows of that. Yeah, that is in total, as he was on foot, it looked like, probably about 2 weeks worth of travel. If not 3. As Misty is
Okay.
familiar with that area.
That is some trouble time.
Mm-hmm. But unbeknownst to you all, he was also riding on a centaur for a good chunk of that. But you begin to make your way down the road. I will not be rolling for her, as I don't have her sheet. Well, I do, but I'm not going to roll for her character, if that makes sense. So, Nomad, would you mind rolling with advantage for a perception check to keep your eyes on the road and keep watch?
Well, I don't think I need to do anything else than that.
Natural
It's
20?
a nat. Yeah, nat.
Alright.
So a 23.
As you're going about, keeping lookout, your eyesight in the dark is better than some, but
Specifically, Devil's Sight. You can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 120 feet.
Mhm.
Fucking broken.
Right? But,
It's like
looking
more
about,
powerful than dark vision.
yeah, looking about, you don't really see anything, and you specifically keep in mind to kind of watch behind you to see if anyone's following. You don't see anything, although further up the road, you do see that there is what looks to be some kind of campfire.
Hmm.
And you do see about 2 wagons and a couple horses off to the side of the road. And you've been traveling for probably the better part of about 2.5, 3 hours by this point. So you'll be somewhere right about here.
What time is it about?
It is
like
nighttime.
9?
It
Yeah,
is
it's like 9 or
close
10.
to like 10 or 11.
Yeah. Nomad will see the campfire. Or can he tell if there's anybody around it, or is it still too far?
You see shapes around the fire, but nothing for certain.
And if there's carts off to the side, then it's probably another caravan. Nomad will tell Misty, let's slow down and see what these folks are about. If possible, we might be able to pass the night with them.
She kind of, as you like, kind of look over to her now. That you've been traveling for a little while, and you haven't really been noticing. She hasn't said anything. She's just kind of been staring off and down, and just quietly just staring off, ears radaring as usual. But she just kind of nods quietly and continues just kind of staring off.
Right?
And she just kind of slowly nods again.
Does she seem like perturbed, or does she seem as if there's something wrong with her?
She seems to be lost in thought.
Okay.
And it's
That
a little bit upsetting to her.
What's a little upsetting to her?
I mean, she's just kind of staring off quietly.
well, Nomad won't interrupt her. Seems like she's lost in thought. As we approach the campfire, do we see anything? Do I, Nomad, or any of the others see anything more?
As you approach closer, you do see that it is a gathering what would appear to be merchants. As they are all not finely dressed, but a little bit better dressed than the common folk would be.
Yeah, they have merchants' traveling gear on.
Indeed. And their wagons are loaded full of boxes, crates, barrels, sacks, and all the kinds of goods and wares. And
Hmm.
they eye you for a little bit as you approach, but don't really make too much in the way of an advancement against you.
Yeah.
But they're just kind of curious.
Nomad would motion Misty uh to stop so that we could get out and talk to them.
She just kind of snaps at it for a moment and gently pulls back, and the horses come to a slow stop.
Nomad would climb down carefully and approach whichever group of merchants is closest.
Okay. You see, there is a tiefling, there is a human, a dwarf, and what looks to be a dragonborn, but he's kind of like off in the shadows, kind of behind a tree where
Mm.
they all actively have their backs to him, so you can only assume.
Nomad would say, "Good evening."
They all just kind of look up and evening.
Nomad would say, "I notice that you have set camp here for the night. We are also traveling along this road to Ashstone. Would you mind if we joined you?"
They just all kind of look around and go, right, prim and proper, aren't you? Yeah. Come on, you got plenty of trees and plenty of spots to spare.
Nomad would nod and say, "Thank you very much." And then he would turn and then go back to the cart and then inform Elbrig and Tyrrell and Misty they will allow us to camp with them.
Wonderful.
Misty kind of nods and gives them a quick lash, and they'll pull the cart off to a. It's nearby, but it's a nice little clearing there.
Yeah.
And then she gets out and sets about setting up a tent for herself. And again, she seems very lost in thought. She seems very, not distant, but not all there right now. It's almost mechanical how she's going about setting up.
Nomad would find a nice rock or stump to sit on for the night.
All right.
As we're setting up and everything, I'm gonna go wander over towards the merchants.
All right. And as you, I'm guessing you're with or riding on Samson.
Correct.
All right. They all kind of like, oh, that's a big fucking dog. And they're just kind of like,
Dags?
you like dags?
Mm-hmm.
But you do hear a soft grunting followed by a relieved sigh as indeed a dragonborn comes from around the tree and rejoins the others there. And even he looks over and he's like, oh, that's a big fucking dog.
Very small. Again, Elbert doesn't really smile. He does that small upturn, the like right side of his lips, and goes, "Right. This is Samson, as I've pet Samson. Yeah, big dog to protect the a small man. Pleasure to meet you all. I'm Elbrig. As I said, this is Samson. You are all merchants."
They all just kind of nod. And the Dragonborn just the Dragonborn just kind of like nods, but at the same time, it's like I'm more of the hired muscle than just a merchant.
Yeah, but that works too. Did you guys travel this route often? The merchants of you, of course, or even the hired muscle.
They all kind of look at each other and just nod and yeah, we've been coming about this way for I'd say last 8-9 years. We make journey to Grey Plain and well, any emotions to the Dragonborn and to the Tiefling, as it is the dwarf speaking. I forgot to mention that. And he just motions to them. Them two, they're heading to Ixtabanis. They've got military contract to fill out up there, so they're gonna be a bit more well off than the rest of us. Bastards. And just kind of gives him a quick punch on the shoulder.
All right, that's great to hear. To be honest, my party and I just had a strange encounter in the town of Silver Skull back there. You guys have any clue what's going on with that? They seem rather hostile.
At the mention, wow. At the mention of Silverscale, you see the Dragonborn visibly tense up, and then just slowly like relax after he like takes a look around. We don't really interact with those folk.
Because
They're creepy as fuck. Like they
that's
always
reasonable.
come out at night, always skulking about the town. They don't like outsiders.
Yeah, no, we learned that they weren't very nice. At least they didn't attack us or anything, but heavily socially hinted at don't like the outsiders.
You
Just
see
wondering.
the dwarf kind of nod. Hey, they're an odd bunch to be sure, but they keep to their own. And well, to be fair, they do whatever the fuck they want. And you see just kind of the tiefling just kind of swat the dwarf and go, don't even say it. And dwarf
Oh,
just kind of
come now. realize when people do that, it just makes people more curious.
Hmm.
I mean, you guys aren't gonna get in trouble for saying it. Is it supposed to be like a jinx or something?
The dwarf just kind of shoves the tiefling a little bit. And just, no, it's just my personal feelings on the ruling of this particular country, not in my greatest favor.
Okay, makes more sense now.
And you see the tiefling just kind of sigh and just rub his brow, and the dragonborn just kind of puts his hands up and just walks away. He's like, "I'm not gonna be part of this conversation."
Well, we're gonna switch gears here because obviously I want to talk about something people don't want to talk about. What are you guys uh, selling
And
eventually?
the tiefling kind of perks up a little bit and gives the dwarf another friendly little smack, and just, well, I am in the business of selling wares for war. That's kind of my specialty. I do in between kind of work. I know people and people know me. That's about as far as it'll go most times. Mainly
Hmm.
I deal in horses and armors.
And hearing that horses and armors and wartime stuff, you wouldn't happen to, you know, have have someone you know of or the knowledge yourself when it comes to barding creatures. Obviously look down at Samson and then raise an eyebrow.
See, I'm just kind of think for a moment. You want to armor your dog?
I mean, this is my bestest boy and traveling companion. That I would. The world is a dangerous place, and I don't think I could stand to lose him. So yes, I would. The same
Just-
way someone would armor the horse to keep it safe from whatever, I would like to do the same for Samson.
He just kind of thinks for a moment. Well, first one's always free for armoring creatures of that kind, not necessarily people or horses. Perhaps you might have some luck somewhere in Abcassis or Ventures Cross. They have all sorts of strange professions in them places. Or perhaps even Timberfall if you're lucky.
Crassus or Venture Cross. Wonderful. That is very good news for myself. I appreciate the information. I'm actually going to dig into my pouch and flip out a gold coin to him.
And at the mention of Abcassis, you hear the dwarf kind of huff a little bit, and then the tiefling just kind of give him a sideways look again. And the dwarf's just like, alright, I'm leaving it alone.
Something wrong with our castles?
And he's just kind of, I don't get along with the idea of the king being so young. That's just my personal preference. She's far too young and far too inexperienced, and the queen is not too much better. Although, being from Jardot, I do appreciate that the king has been keeping with the truce and the treaties, meaning that folk like me can freely have trade without the fear of being taxed out of our assholes. That's one of the few redeeming factors. Aside from that, they're not my favourite.
Gotcha. Well, that is interesting. Uh, Anybody else have anything they tend to try when it comes to selling stuff? Because you know, I the barding was a question that just came up because he said that's what he sold. maybe I have more inquiries if you guys tell me what the rest of which wares are. Or are you all together, actually?
He just kind of the dwarf looks about and he's, well, me and the tiefling here are heading the same direction. I'm making a stop off over at Green Plain Village, where they've asked for more tools to tend their fields, and then I'm heading out to Bleakmore to bring supplies and to repair some of the damage that's been done out there by the pests, as they call them. And
Yes.
that gobbler over there, and he points to someone who has now wandered off and is curled up on the floor in a blanket and just seems to just been done with the day's bullshit. That bastard there, poor fucker, is heading all the way up to Whiteshallow, as apparently they couldn't manage to get a ship from Serpent's Calling down to the Sprawl, and even then, the island he was trying to get to, it's kind of been blockaded. So now he has to take a ship from Whiteshallow and head all the way around to find it from the other side. Poor bastard.
Blockaded. Did not see that coming.
Aye. Yeah, most times we find business in Farfathoms. It's the kindest of the islands. But, unfortunately, he's not going to Farfathoms this time.
Okay. Um. 4 fathoms and 4 feet. Okay, cool. Have any of you been on the sea recently? Besides him?
He just kind of chuckles. All of us. We made port in Shepherd's Calling here probably about, I'd say a week and a half ago. And we've just now gotten our full orders together and have begun traveling.
Ah, cool. I see. I asked because I'm inquiring for a friend of mine. You guys on your travels here via ship and everything, you guys notice anything about uh the creatures of the deep being a bit more active?
Oh, fuck yes! That bastard's almost sank our ship. The dwarf just kind of like looks at you and looks at the others, and the tiefling just kind of, yeah, they've been a little bit more active lately. I don't know what to think of it. In fact, even our wonderful captain decided that he was retiring after we made port. So there goes our frequent flyer miles, I guess.
All right, cool. I've been hearing rumors of the same things. I just wanted to double check. I have no clue why they are doing that too, but just making sure I keep abreast of travel arrangements, sea or land, because I kind of new here. I'm actually from those islands that are kind of being blockaded right now.
You see the dwarf just kind of, oh, really? Which
Yeah,
one?
apparently I got lucky. Crap, which one am I from?
You're from Far Fathoms.
Far That's, I knew there was a reason why that sounded so familiar.
He's like, oh, really? Well, and look, Far Fathoms ain't the one blockaded. In fact, most people don't really mess with Far Fathoms too much. You'll keep to yourselves and leave what is what is. It's about it. No, that poor sack there is trying to make his way all the way to Lakinia on the southeastern island. But it looks like Dilnoris has begun working with some of Yumuri, and they've blockaded the path past the island of Parlay. Well, it's their waters. They can do as they please with it. We're not sure if they're actually working together, because that would be a massive step in the progression of relations between the islands. So, more like they're at a standstill stalemate. Whoever shoots first loses type scenario. But he's got a nice path around the southern edge. He'll be fine.
Good to hear. Alright, well, I don't take too much of your guys' time. I'll leave you to it. Probably turn in for the night. So, wish you well. Thanks for the information.
Hey, absolutely. You see him kind of lean forward, stand up, and then he just stretches, and you hear the most wonderful popping sound as just everything just realigns and just, oh, fuck yes. Ah, that'll feel great in the morning as he goes waddling off towards a tent. And the tiefling nods to you as well and heads off towards his own tent.
I take Samson back to the party. And just kind of make my bed. I'm pretty much good for the night.
All right. I'm going to assume that you will be taking watch, Nomad. Okay. All right. Well, Tyrell, do you have anything?
Nope, not really.
Okay. So you all just, well, you're gonna leave the furbolg in the back of the cart because it's covered. It's a covered wagon. He'll be fine.
Yes.
But yeah, Misty has set up her small little tent and has tucked herself away. And once she entered, she has not come back out. You all make your spots accordingly. And Nomad, since you will be the one staying up and keeping watch, I need you to roll a perception check.
Oh, that's not good.
What you got there, buddy?
It's an 8.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nothing really catches your attention. In fact, you are more lost in reading through your books, and in a small part of your mind, you're still kind of a bit worried. As you, in the short time you have known her, you've not seen Misty be like this. But the night seems to pass without incident. Although you do notice that there was a few leaves and branches that seem to shift and move above you, but nothing really out of the ordinary
Of me.
above you.
If I saw them shift and move, I wouldn't get up and look at it and like see what's up there, but I would scrutinize it.
Yeah.
Alright.
You don't really, you never really saw anything, except there was a faint flicker of what looked to be like a pinkish light, and then it was gone. But nothing aside from that. So, the morning comes, greets you all.
We're not taking watch turns, or can you stay up all night on watch? I'm not sure.
And yeah, the morning is yours, the day is yours. Would you guys like to take a short 5-minute break?
Sure.
Sure.
All right.
Huh? I'm gonna go
Uh,
get myself some garlic toast.
I'm gonna go stretch my legs real quick. I will see you guys at about say 6:22, 6:23 for me. So to 3:23 or at 23.
Yeah.
At 23. Break. All right. So, morning comes. You all wake from your sleep. You have been fully rested. The Furbolg is awake and oddly not very talkative. Unusual, I know.
Is it? I mean, you had a life or death situation. Brush with death, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah. The morning comes, and Misty is already up and has disassembled her tent, packed it all away. And as you look around, you notice that the merchants from the previous night have already set about their way. So it is just you lot, and the day is yours. What are you doing?
Nomad will help everybody pick up their things and get back on the cart and head back
As
on
we
over to Ash.
as we get back on the cart and after we're packed up, I'm gonna scoot over to Nomad and say, "Hey, so remember how I came with you guys because of your book? While we're going, you mind, you know, reading the parts I don't understand out loud?
Hmm.
Kind of like a story time, so
Hey,
that I can
Ricky.
get the full picture."
Yeah. I see.
Yeah.
Also, copy. Got you, Andrew. Um,
All right.
so it has been
It has been.
two?
So it was the night, and then after the night of that event, we left, and it's been one day of travel.
This would be
This
the
is
dawn of the second
morning
day.
of the second day. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, you have 2 days left.
Okay.
Well, this day and then the next. So it
No.
would be possible.
Okay. Just making sure. Nomad would nod and would ask Tyrrell to take point with Misty so that he could sit in the back and read to Elbrig.
Mhm.
I'd do it.
All right.
All right. As you
Once-
all begin to gather, you do notice that Misty is kind of staring. Well, not really staring, but kind of like looking around and noticing some things on the ground and nearby the tree where you were sitting at, Nomad. But just kind of passes it off and heads back up, mounts up, and
Nomad would casually glance at the ground in the tree.
there's some odd looking footprints. Like, very easy to see. And also, the tree looks rather disturbed.
Odd looking, huh?
A bit. Like, there's some snap branches and twigs.
Is there any like defined footprints that like show the entire shape of this creature's tread?
As you kind of glance over and look, they look semi humanoid, but anything else would require a closer look.
Well, Nomad won't bother with it. There were a number of people here last night. There's no need to delve too deep, and so he'll
But
get
you
on the
do
cart.
see you do see Misty kind of lift one of her feet up, look at it, and put her foot down and kind of shake her head and head back up and mount up.
Yep. Nomad would climb in the back.
All right. So it'll be
During
Tyrrell and Misty at the front, and the other three of you plus Samson in the back.
and during the ride, Nomad will begin to read the journal to Elbrig out loud.
Okay. So you begin your story time, and you begin returning onto your journey. It's probably going to be another, say, about 6-8 hours worth of travel to before you make it to Ashstone. And Tyrrell, if you could go ahead and roll perception with advantage.
Give me just a sec. How the hell do I roll that again in this app?
The D&D Beyond.
Yeah, where do I go for it? Is it ability?
It's on your character sheet. Just the number next to perception. Just click whatever that plus or whatever it is, and it'll roll for you.
Gotcha.
And you roll twice because you had advantage.
Alright, give me a second. Go away. And that.
Okay.
Okay, 12 in total.
8 and 12. All right. Off to a screaming start. We're fine. You're fine.
This fucking app hates me.
That's fine. Don't worry, I'm still trying to figure out a way that we can actually roll actual dice and be able to see rolls and shit like that. But until then. But yeah, so you go about as you're keeping watch, and Misty's helping you. But she still seems rather distracted. But so Nomad, what are you reading to Elbrig?
Nomad is going to start by reiterating this book appears to be a journal of one N. Arknaus about the events of some time ago. It does involve Cadmus in his youth, and then would proceed to the first page and read literally the entire thing out loud.
All right. So page 1 of the journal, for shorthand, it explains that this is the book of one N. Arknaus, that there was a collection of 8 of them aside from himself, totaling to 9 individuals. And that these individuals, according to this journal, were members of a group of adventurers and task given by the crowns themselves to venture to other realms and other worlds to assess whether or not they would be a threat or if their presence was necessary there, to report back on what they found there and report back to the 10th crown and the 14th crown as to what their findings were. Normally, planar travel is forbidden, aside from the purposes of research alone. But this particular group was consisting of rather strong, capable, and powerful individuals that could more or less handle themselves wherever they went, and as such were trusted and tasked with this objective. And it's just detailing out some of their journey, some of their adventures to other worlds and other realms. It does mention that Cadmus was present and mentions him by the name of the Gravecaller. They do also refer to the owner of this journal as the Black King. That they traveled to, at first, the first one that was mentioned was a strange world of twilight and mist. That after some exploration and the rough details of what he was able to see there, that he determined it to be something close or akin to the ethereal plane. And the remainder of that page was rather uninteresting, because there was not much they could really do there, and not much they could really interact with there to learn much.
Let's see.
But he does mention that it is a pleasant turn of objective from the bloody fields of war.
Quite even just these guys have.
Do I hear him reading this out loud?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Nomad has a very deep, resonant voice, so you would hear this.
Yeah, this is
right.
also seemed to have caught Misty's attention, as her ears have radared backwards to listen.
Are you telling me her ears pulled an owl and just went 180?
Yes, she is tabaxi. Her ears do a radar panning thing.
Mm.
Yeah, that's cat ears for you. They can make them go behind them.
And
Not
as you're
necessarily like twist 180 degrees, but like they're able to tweak them in a way that allows them to catch sound from behind them more easily. You've seen cats, you know what I'm talking about.
yes,
Yeah, more.
but this reading in total, as it seems Nomad is translating very, not slowly, but deliberately, as it does
Yes.
appear this is a mixture of two languages combined into one. So some of the words mean different things
Yes.
until added
So
onto the other language.
So often when he is coming across these specific language things, he will stop. He won't like just say a word that is similar. He will stop and explain fully the concept behind the word. And he's translating this all into common.
Which there are some words that even then, when he tries to explain them, he just pauses for a very long time and then just goes with possibly the closest reference to it, as
Yes.
there's no real way in common to explain the meanings behind this particular word or phrase. That it is relevant to this particular language and doesn't really have a common translation. Which, that's Arcnean for you. Which, actually, double checking my notes. Yes, okay, so they would be reporting to the 7th crown, 10th crown, and the 14th crown. As those would be of law, battle, and death / change. As Elbrig would know from his time spent studying the particular crowns, that the crown of mortality, the crown of change, Arknaus himself, was perceived to be more of the head of the crowns and more of like the elected leader, as they all respected his word, as he was more often fair and just with his decisions regarding the other crowns.
Cool. And you got this, and you got this book from Cadmus, right? Well, I say as a one of the ones where there's a pause in the storytelling.
Would you be addressing that to Nomad?
Yes, the Nomad. Yes, the Nomad.
Okay.
All right, can you repeat that?
Once there's a pause in the storytelling, when you're translating whatever, Elbrig was and you say, and you got this from Cadmus, right? This book.
Nomad would stop and say, "Yes. He gifted this to me along with a number of other books."
What are the other books about? This is apparently the adventures of this group that report to the crowns. What are the other books?
The other books that he gave to me are a book about the Dream Wilds, previously a book about the crowns, though I returned that one, and a book about geography, although somewhat outdated.
Huh. Just as a question, since you've returned the book about the crowns, what was your general thoughts on the 14th crown?
Nomad gives you a look, and you have no idea what this means, this look that he gives you.
Hey, the giant metal
But
face.
he looks at you for like a solid 3 seconds before saying, "The 14th crown is powerful and moves in mysterious ways."
And 2 different realms, apparently. Yeah?
So, as you ask this question, and Nomad gives his response, from above you, on top of the wagon, you hear a almost snorting chuckle.
Nomad whips to look up.
I mean, there's just cloth. It's a covered wagon. But you do distinctly see that there's a shadow above.
Like, we'll establish like this the silhouette from the shadow. So like, there's a bird flying above us, a humanoid shadow, or just a blot.
More like something is laying on top of the cart. On top of the wagon.
Nomad is going to look at that in utter confusion for a few seconds and then say, "Who is on top of our cart?"
And looking up, you notice that this silhouette seems to be laying down on top of the wagon. Like, not necessarily hiding, but more like that relaxed, hands behind the head, like ankles kind of crossed position.
Uh-huh. Okay, so this is seeing as I'm not tall enough to do it, I'm probably gonna go ahead and go to my belt and grab the sling I have. Put one of the stones in the sling, whatever. I'm not actually slinging it. I'm just doing it for the reach. So I'll put the stone in the pouch, still hold it. I won't sling it. Give her a whirl, and then just jump up and thwack where that shadow's laying. Just
You
because I'm a little perturbed that I'm having this conversation, there was a fucking snort about some random person up there. It's more perturbed than anything.
all right? Ah! Why? Why would you do that? How rude.
Listening on someone's conversation and laying on top of their travel cart isn't rude. Who the hell are you?
And all you just hear, yeah, Arknaus is pretty powerful. He's also a dick.
Oh no.
I'm very confused. I look at
By the way, Tyrell,
buddy.
you would also be able to see who it is above.
Uh,
As
oh, I'm well aware. I don't even wanna.
you're just eyes straight ahead.
No, you see me look back and that just migraine feeling roll over and not just turn right back around. Not today. It's too early.
So, looking through the crack above the where the wagon meets with the riding bench, you do see that Misty has turned around and looks utterly confused, but doesn't seem aggressive. Just really, really confused.
Nomad will sort of not stand because that's a terrible idea, but sort of sort of like carefully put the book down, saving where he was, and then sort of scoot over to the back, and then like glance around, like lean out a little bit and glance around to see if he can see who's on top.
So as Nomad makes his way to the back and glances around, what you see staring back at you now is this strangely tabaxi-like face with very luminous, glowing pink eyes. And it appears feminine, mostly. It's strange. But one thing that does distinctly stand out is that this tabaxi-like individual seems to have 8 tails.
Fuck.
And
Oh
sh-
no! Wait
and
a minute.
she is propped up now with her face or like her chin resting on her hands and just the feet kind of kicking. Just, hi, how are you?
I'm gonna. Tyrell's gonna do a double take at this for a minute and be like, "Wait a minute."
Nomad is going to say, "Greetings. Why are you on top of our cart?"
Because I
Don't
like
ask
the
questions.
breeze.
Oh no!
Who is this?
I'm just gonna mutter, "You're not who I thought you were." First.
And as he mutters that, you see her just kind of like, it is the oddest appearance as she seems to just kind of shift and like almost like altering the way that she appears. Just seems to like flow over to now be like leaned up near Tyrell and go, oh, and who did you think I was?
Well, that's hard to explain with people around.
Retreat back to my dock because this is getting weirder and weirder.
And as you,
Let's just say if I think you are who you are, I've met one of your kin.
and she's just kind of smiles and perhaps. And then next thing you know, she's inside the wagon with Nomad, Elbrig, and the Furbolg.
Yeah.
Or me and Nomad, the only ones that can see her still.
No, all of you can see her.
I'm gonna
Right.
leave this here.
I'm retreating back behind my dog.
she kind of walks forward, and Samson. Usually, Samson is obvious with the way, with what he's thinking and the way he's behaving. He seems just as confused, but she just walks over, it gives him a little scratch, and he just melts. Like he's just, ah, yes, flop.
Don't betray.
And then she just kind of sits down next to you all. And, so, where are you heading? What are you doing?
Again, what's going on? Do either of you know this person?
She
Yeah,
just
no
kind
man.
of immediately like looks to you, and the facial expression kind of changes to a not serious face, but one of those almost terrifying grins as her eyes
And
seem to glow brighter with these pink eyes. And she goes, "Oh, don't worry, Hilltumble. You know me rather well, though we've never met."
okay, I'm gonna lay down so that they can't see me behind the dog. Nope.
And there he goes. Wow.
Just gonna pipe up and ask, uh, since this is reminiscent of another encounter I had, would you
She
be one of the towns?
she appears next to you and just kind of boops you on the nose. Wow. Which one did you meet?
Oh no! don't, don't make it concrete. That just makes it worse.
And Nomad, your particular skill of sensory, it's
Is it?
explosive right now.
Yeah. Nomad kind of is like has been like confused this entire time, and this does not make it better. And he just like is thinking for a while, and then says, "I do not believe you are supposed to be here."
She appears right next to Nomad. And again, like she is just moving throughout this cart, inside, outside, upside down, just in a flash. She's there, she's gone, she's now here. She is now next to Nomad, and she kind of leans in. I go wherever I choose. After all, who's gonna stop me?
I volunteer to not stop her at all.
Nomad just kind of looks at her and sort of in a disappointed voice says, "That is not very cooperative."
She goes, "Of course
You
it's
won't
not
get
cooperative. Why would I ever be cooperative? This is my whole thing. I'm here to make things interesting. And you all are rather interesting. I must say, this is turning into a wonderful thing to observe. I don't even have to do anything. It's great. I can actually sit back and watch this all unfold."
We've been cursed. It's a curse. That's not a blessing. It's a curse. May you live in interesting times.
And
I won't do this no more.
She appears next to Elbrig now, just kind of
hey,
like
no,
laying on the floor.
No, don't do that.
You know, for a priest, it's taken you a little while. But don't worry, I'm forgiving. And gives him a little kiss on the forehead before vanishing again and appearing next to Nomad, holding the book.
Oh god, I need help.
Oh. Nomad has been like racking his brain this entire time trying to figure out what this is.
Hero's gonna speak up to you, Nomad, actually, and he's gonna tell you to think back to your book. What crown would this remind you of?
And she's panning through the journal, and she's just, ancient history is so boring. And then places it back down. And then you see her kind of look at Tyrell and smile. And go, well,
Not
you've only
perturbing
got
at all.
14 to choose from. But there's only one
Oh.
of them that can interact with people this directly.
Would I know
Nomad
of
would
which
kind
one?
of like Nomad would kind of like look down and then say, I beg to differ.
And she, hearing
I
this,
know
she
which
turns
one?
around and she goes, oh, did one of them break a rule? Oh, please tell me it's so.
Well, we've both met a crown already, so probably.
And she
Really?
just kind of, and she just kind of looks at Elbrig, looks at Tyrell, and Misty has now just kind of turned back around, and is just focusing on the road. And she's
She
like,
wants no part of it.
her curiosity is getting the better of her, but again, as she is not here, I cannot force her character to do anything, and I will not. But
Would I know anything of which crown this is?
give me an intelligence check.
Nomad has already sort of sussed it out.
Oh, I'm playing nice. Hold on.
Nap, I'm too scared.
Agents.
With that roll, you knock out which one it can't be, which that knocks out the first crown, the third crown, the fourth crown, the sixth crown, and the 14th crown.
With what roll?
With
Oh.
Elbrig's.
I can't find intelligence. What the fuck?
It's on your bar. It's literally your bar. Or okay,
And
you can roll intelligence to determine.
Oh, that was a save.
that.
Okay,
You said I was-
Tyrell, you do know which one
Yep.
this is.
Which one is it? I assume out of character I automatically know, but for purpose of game now you can tell me.
Tyrell, you know this as the 8th crown.
And that's the crown of chaos.
This is the crown of chaos.
Yep.
Every time we go.
So then I'll just say that out loud. I'd be like, you wouldn't happen to be the crown of chaos.
And from seemingly nowhere, you hear like this strange bell ringing sound. And she goes, "We have a winner! What prize do you want? Actually, don't tell me. Let me guess. You want to live?"
I want to live.
Hello? What
I
else? What else?
definitely want to live.
Which is met with your reactions, is met with just roaring laughter.
Is it her or is it like laugh track?
Her laughing.
Okay.
Yeah, I just asked her what other prizes are there if life was one of them.
Well, I mean, as a crown, I can do pretty much anything. As the crown, I can really do anything. As long as I feel like doing it.
Alrighty then. So what happens if I don't?
If you don't what?
If I don't choose life? That was one offer, but maybe there's something else out there.
Fair. I mean, now it's getting a little bit too ASCII, so, I don't like people asking too much questions about a free prize. Oh well, moving on. So, where'd you get that book from?
Nomad will pause for a second and say, "It was given to me as a gift from a friend."
She's like, oh, a gift from a friend. Oh, that's, that's strange. Because the way I remember it, all those should have been destroyed. And she just kind of looks at you very, very intently. And speaking of which, I'm surprised that you, dear Nomad, still exist after your other visit. Don't worry, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just curious. That's all.
Nomad would kind of glance for glance over at us, glance over would like would not have taken his eyes off of the crown, but would just say, "You're not here to give me an ultimatum, too, are you?"
She's like, ooh, an ultimatum. She now appears again next to Elbrig. Did you get one of those?
No ultimate. Nope, I'm good. Nope. Living, please.
Is it just me, or is this one just really cute in the way that he freaks out? Like, it's kind of adorable, really.
I am not. Whatever. Never mind.
Nomad would kind of look at Elbrig and then say, "He appears to be in great distress."
I'm not the weird one here.
Well, that is true. You are not the weird one here. At least, not for now. But that remains to be seen, doesn't it? Although, I do have something that can help you. If you wish.
Perks up from like burying his head in Samson's fur. Help me with what? What exactly? Then
You see her just kind of like lean really, really close to your face. And then she just gently blows a breath across you. And you feel good. You feel calm, oddly.
I thought she was going to say taller.
And as you're looking at her while she does this, the eyes do glow again, this vibrant pink. That should help. And before you ask, yes, it is a spell. And before you ask, yes, it will eventually wear off, but for the time being, perhaps you won't be panicking the whole time. And then vanishes and reappears on the cart next to Tyrell. And as for you,
Yes.
what is it you said your name was again?
Tyrell.
Tyrell. You know, I remember that name being mentioned once. Very recently.
From who?
Oh, from the other 13. I was, of course, present at the time, too, that you went somewhere you were not supposed to. And someone got in trouble.
You got in trouble?
Well, maybe it was just a dream then. And she vanishes again and appears next to Nomad.
I'm just going to murmur that this kind of almost reminds me of dealing with the other 8.
I heard that.
You're meant to.
Wonderful.
Tally ho.
He's crazy.
So, now that we've all become friends, where are you heading to?
Nomad would look back and say, "We are, for the moment, headed towards Delviexna."
Ooh. And I'm going to guess that the lovely cat there is your guide?
He would nod.
Always trust a tabaxi to know how to find something that's not meant to be found. Do not, however, trust them to leave it alone.
Well, that somehow explains a lot.
Should should we be leaving Delviexna alone?
Oh no, it's just how tabaxi are. It's how I made them. They are very good at finding things not meant to be found, but have a hard time letting it go once they've found it, until something new comes along.
So it likes shiny things.
Indeed! Who doesn't love shiny things? They're awesome. They're really nice. Until they're not
That's-
shiny anymore.
That's concerning. Fair enough.
Could slowly cover the lantern that's on Santa.
I'm just gonna periodically kind of go and check my little pouch on my side just to be sure.
As you mess with it and just kind of touch it,
Mm.
she appears right next to you. Well, more next to you by the means of she's seeming to float in the air beside you, face to
Oh, okay.
face.
That somehow doesn't surprise me at all.
How about we not mess with that? Deal?
Deal?
Good. Leave it alone.
What is it?
That's also something that should have been destroyed, but no one managed to be able to do it. So,
Well,
here we all
hold on.
are.
And when she says that, I'm just gonna kind of look at my arm and back to driving.
Yeah, that'd be why. And then appears again next to Nomad. This time, sideways. As if she's standing on the wall of the wagon.
I'm just gonna look back and chuckle at that fact, and then just go back to what I'm doing.
Really should be freaked out about that, but for some reason I can't right now. This is a good spell. I should probably learn this spell.
I'm just gonna say it sounds like this one would be fun to drink with.
Well, of course I would be fun to drink with. I'm also the crown of revelry, and
So,
inebriation, and
Oh.
drunkenness.
side note,
Oh,
out
wait,
of character.
Tyrell just says "oh," and then slowly comes to a realization as she says that about the other night.
Out of character. Don't ever use mind-altering spells on yourself to numb pain. That's like beaming yourself with the super happy ray and spore.
Anyway,
But no, she's now standing sideways in the cart.
like I said, I'm slowly gonna come to a realization about the other night in the waterlogged weasel,
Mhm.
and just be like, does that mean you know we're drunk and things happen?
Yes, of course.
Oh no. I'm just gonna go back to the driving the cart.
Nomad would kind of ponder for a second and then say, I feel that it may be pointless to ask this, but
Well, all the
You
best
wouldn't
questions
happen-
are pointless.
seems my other visitor did not know the answer to the question I have. I'm wondering if you might.
Blue is always a good option, but red if it's a dire situation.
Nomad kind of just gives her a completely blank look.
On the bright side, at least you can buy flares in that color if anything happens.
This guy gets it.
Even blanker.
Well, at least she's not as vague as the other guy.
Nomad kind of just turns to look at Tyrell and says, "He was not vague with me at all."
Oh, aren't you just lucky? Mine's about as vague as a board.
What are we talking about?
Something that happened before you.
She
Obviously
appears
something
next
that
to
happened.
Elbrig again and just kind of like starts petting his head.
Just sighs. Like I'm not allowed to freak out, so I just sigh.
Nomad would kind of just shake his head and say, "The question that I had was, how did I come to be?"
She just kind of stops petting Elbrig's head for a moment. Would you believe
swear
me if
to
I
God.
said it was an oopsie?
I swear to
Uh,
God, she said something about a mommy medal and a daddy medal to each other very much.
Well, you
Nomad-
see, when when an iron alloy and a steel alloy fall in love
Okay.
Banged.
and are
And
left alone
then-
in their parents' house where their parents are at work,
Nomad kind of is just like looking expectantly because he knows at this point she's just messing around.
He used a secret move called the Anvil.
well, something had to get banged out.
Was it the ball ping?
Possibly.
No.
And she just kind of appears next to Nomad with an arm around his shoulder. Look, so I am the Crown of Chaos. I'm immune to the rules. I can break them as I so choose. The divine law doesn't really apply to me. But, and I'm saying this is a really big butt, like the butt of a Tarrasque, like a really big butt. Even I have some personal rules that I have to follow.
I'm guessing one of those is not to spoil the fun.
Exactly. What fun would it be if I were to tell you everything? That's no fun at all. Not for you and not for me. And above all else, I'm here for my own enjoyment. I've got nothing else to do.
Nomad kind of like thinks about that for a second and then like has a realization, like turns and says, "Nothing?"
She gives you a slight grin.
I'll just pipe up. She's probably making the other one do it.
I cannot make them do anything. I am free to enact my own will upon my own actions. They are bound to their divine law. I am not. And
And
even
I'm
if
just
they
gonna
tried-
mumble again. That explains why Arcanus is so goddamn vague.
Well, of course. Well, he's him.
Him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake, they couldn't even get their own domains. They had to take it from mine. So I've got to do everything.
Ooh, yeah, there's deep territory here.
Nomad will kind of think for a moment. And then like pick back up the journal and like flip towards the end and then sort of look at it for a second and then back to the ground and say, would we be able to find answers about this in Delphi Exnum?
She kind of gives you a strange, pondering look. Delphi Exnum is a rather strange place. It's a place of gathered knowledge and information about no specific, real topic. However, in the sense of just overall general knowledge available to the public that can find it, perhaps, maybe a hint. Aside from that, the contents of that book shouldn't still be around. But it is how it is, and it just makes my job all the more fun.
Nomad kind of pauses for a second and then like has a like kind of has a worried kind of has this worried air about him as he says, "Do you mean to tell me this journal is illegal?"
To a degree.
My God, you've broken the law.
Nomad kind of like closes it gently, sets it down, and then does like folds his hands and like puts them to where his mouth would be and just like has to take a moment.
But, speaking of, I think I need to pay a visit to the one that gave you that, though.
Nomad looks up from his stupor and says, "You won't harm him, will you?"
We're not allowed to do that. Well, they're not. I can. But typically I don't.
You won't harm
No-
him physically, most likely, but the mental scars are probably going to be there for a bit.
Ew. She just kind of like gives you a finger gun. I'll tell you what, dear Nomad. I won't pry any further into him if you can tell me my name.
Nomad will look confused for a second and then say, "Is it not Imtrix?"
A slight smile creeps across her face. Well, I guess that's what it is nowadays. Alright, fair enough. I won't pry. But I will observe, as I do so enjoy watching the chaos unfold.
Meanwhile, on Nomad's character sheet, lawful neutral.
Oh,
And
darling,
the thing, the
those
small
words
one
don't mean anything here.
Nomad like looks confused and says, "I didn't say anything."
She just kind of gives you a wink.
she can think your thoughts. Be afraid.
Oh, no. That was Imtrix talking to Daniel. Meanwhile,
She just breaks
Daniel
all the fourth wall.
kind of like, uh-oh.
Oh no, the voices again, but this time they're not in the game.
No, she'll literally sit there for a moment pondering.
And
And
to
then-
think, the dude shot her in the ass with a rock.
No, he didn't shoot her in the ass. He whacked her in the ass.
Oh, that's my bad. Whacked her in the ass for
No one bring that up. No one bring that up.
Well, add that to your legend. The man who whacked the god of chaos in the ass with a rock.
Smacked
What?
her right in the ass cheek with a rock.
Would have been better than mine. I most likely would have taken an arrow and poked it up.
You know, she's kind of just sitting there pondering for a moment. Okay. That'll be fair. You answered my question. So, fair is fair. At least for now. But there's always tomorrow. There's always another day. And you, and she turns towards Elbrig.
You just hear a sigh of relief come from my end, like, "Phew."
Yes.
Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Don't worry about the rest. And you now notice that she's not looking at you.
Oh, thank you. If you're talking to Samson.
She's talking to Samson. And he kind of picks his head up, gives her, just starts panting, and then puts his head back down.
Yeah, that's Samson.
He's the goodest boy.
And then just kind of leans in real close to Samson and just, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. And then appears next to Tyrell.
Oh boy.
And she just sits there, smiling at you.
I just look and give a smile back.
You're gonna be fun to watch.
Thank you, I think.
I can't wait till you reach your destination.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's gonna be great. Don't worry. You'll be fine. Maybe. We'll see.
I heard that before, and then I picked up this godforsaken stone.
Yeah. Not sure why, no. You would be the one to have it. But pieces fall where they do.
Wrong astral space chicken, wrong time.
Are you the one that started that?
You just see me look away for a minute, like. What do you mean started that?
Never mind. Oh, well.
It is
Looks
official. The
like-
gods have been calling the Slicks astral space chickens this entire time.
It's canon now. No.
Ark now heard it once and it just stuck.
No, Arknow's heard it once, reported back to the others, and they're just like, they called a fucking what? And she just kind of sits there for a moment. And then you notice that she leans over and whispers something into Misty's ear. Kind of makes her, like, her tail stand up on end.
She said catnip.
I mean, it was a little bit of a longer phrase.
I know where they're hiding the catnip.
And then she looks back to Nomad, looks back to Elbrig. Oh, yes. This will most definitely be interesting, to say the least. By the way, mind the road. And then she just vanishes.
Nomad immediately looks at the road in front of them.
I close my eyes and prepare to die.
There is nothing wrong with the road. Although you do notice that you seem to have traveled quite a bit farther distance than makes sense. As it is still earlier in the day, probably closer to midday, but you can actually see Ashstone in the distance.
Huh.
That's it. Just we meet the Crown of Chaos and the hoarding and this is a good spell. I need this spell. That or drugs.
And thus, the god of revelry and fucking drugs has made another prophet. But yeah, at the current pace you are going, it'll probably be another 2-3 hours before you make it into Ashstone.
I would take this time to be like, okay, now that I've got a handle on my shit because the whole spell works, and before it wears off and I descend into the puddled mess or whatever, what the hell, guys? I mean, you've met other crowns and not as supposed to exist, and worried about meeting people who aren't people. You guys are keeping a whole lot from me here, and I'm getting really concerned.
Nomad would kind of turn to Elbrig and think on it, and then say, "Well, we just met you, and you never asked."
I literally asked. And then you guys were vague as shit with me. I point out that you were vague as shit with me. And then this happened. So, I mean, like, that was like having a brush for death, the love of God. If I wasn't underneath the spell, my heart would be beating out of my chest. And I'd
Nomad
be,
kind of just, when you say brush with death, Nomad just says, "Don't jinx it."
you get what I mean. I'm just saying, like, is this a common occurrence for you guys?
Nomad
popping
would
up
kind of Nomad would kind of pause and say, "It has been twice within the last 3 days. So, yes, quite common for now."
I don't know if I can handle this amount of stress.
As you're having this
Nomad
discussion,
Nomad kind of looks at you and sort of dryly says, "I thought you found a way to counter it."
I don't know how to cast this spell. It's not in my repertoire. As soon as it's over, I'm gonna fucking descend into madness almost here, okay?
as you
Nomad
guys are
kind of-
having this conversation, Missy's ears perk back again towards you
Oh.
guys. Although Nomad and Elbrig, you do hear something.
What do we hear?
A thumping sound. And Tyrol, as this comes into earshot of you, it sounds very familiar.
Thumpity thump thump thumpity thump thump. Look at me, go.
It sounds more like.
Okay, so it's the really loud crash. Crash.
Nomad will turn to look at what's thumping.
There is a gray and black blur moving rapidly towards you.
I want to perceive that thing. I've seen it before, at least a glimpse of it. What is it doing and why?
And in the span of about 3 seconds, it looks to be about say, 100 feet away, but within a span of 3 seconds, it has closed the gap drastically. To probably being about 20 feet away from you.
Is it headed straight for us?
Yes.
Alright, boys, get your shotguns. Is there any way to make out what it is, or is it just blurry?
It is a
Well, I-
blur.
See it. Or try to see it.
Does it seem familiar to Nomad at all?
Nope. And Tyrell, nope, still a blur.
I don't like this app. Excuse me. Oh, see, now it does something.
Still a blur,
Alright.
but now you can see fur.
So it is that thing again. I just don't know what it is.
Still a
idea.
blur, but you still see fur.
Okay, I'm gonna switch my
Despite all my blur, I'm still just a rat in a fur.
I'm gonna switch my perspective. I'm gonna look over at Mister and see if she notices it.
She notices it and is holding very tight onto the reins.
Does she seem happy or?
She seems indifferent.
Hmm.
Nomad is going to, like, grip the cart in anticipation for being rammed.
As this now gets
Yeah.
closer,
Grab the cart! Grab the cart!
as it gets closer, you realize that it is relatively small and moving at a very fast pace. Samson is still just chilling. It seems that Samson also was influenced by the spell.
Alright, one arm around Samson, one arm around the other. You hold on, too. I'm
And
not
you-
panicking. I gotta calm fast, but it's just like, someone pull me in.
You do hear the kind of get a little bit more spaced out as it gets closer. And then it seems to very quickly do a circle around your entire wagon and horses. Jets off a little bit, turns around, and then comes right back and launches into the back of the wagon.
Yoga.
Like, with us?
Yes.
Well, to avoid it crashing into our unconscious passenger, Nomad will brace to try and catch it.
As you kind of like brace and it enters into the wagon, you see it hit the floor of the wagon and then skid to a stop. And now standing before you, at about 3 feet tall, is this small, furry creature with very
Dear Lord.
long ears that stand straight up, a pair of goggles over its eyes, a long, fox-like snout and face with a more fox-like body, 2 arms, and very thick, powerful curved legs, along with 2 very thick, furry tails, and stands about 3 feet tall.
My God, it's Tails from Sonic.
And it does, in
Since
fact,
when
have a bag on its back.
Since when did Tails have such thick thighs?
It's Ratataska's cousin.
Which you then do hear as she slaps her foot on the ground and then pulls the
Nomad
goggles
kind of-
up.
Nomad kind of glances down and just says, "Are you our last visitor today, or will there be more?"
Always expect more.
Visitor, I have a letter.
For who?
And she just kind of pulls the bag around, starts fishing around through it, and then, Tyrell?
Cyril. Close.
Hey,
Uh,
Tyrone!
I'll
She's-
take that letter.
She's, alright, looks like it is for you from your guild.
Oh, boy.
And let's see, anything else? I have a request list for. And she's just kind of like pawing through this thing. None of you have any idea what the fuck this creature is.
Yeah, I'm just.
Although-
Nomad knows what this creature is. It's a
Although-
courier.
Although, Nomad, you do, in fact, recognize an emblem that is on this creature's outfit, as you have seen it before.
Oh?
On a particular halfling that you encountered
Ah.
alongside the drow and a half-orc of his companions.
Was she a drow?
She was a drow.
No.
You
she
recognize
was
this
just an
emblem.
Nomad kind of pauses and says, "You wouldn't happen to be acquainted with one Maedrus Shadow Song, would you?"
Yeah, of course. I just came from there.
Like, just came as in the last couple days.
Couple hours. She's still fumbling through her pouch.
At that rate, I'm just gonna open my letter and read it, and not even question that.
It is a report missive to be
Oh.
sent to Rasiri, or to be given to Guildmaster Rasiri and the Lore Master. It is a collection of your reports and reports of others from over in Jerdot by the Orbix Guild Hall.
All right, I'll just fold it up and stick it in my carrying
I'm sure
pouch.
that if you leaf through them, you'll see that they're all about the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's gonna be that. I'm just gonna put them away for now, so I'm not trying to drive and read.
And as she's going through, here you go. And she pulls out what looks to be a scroll of some kind, like folded scroll, and goes, "I was told to give this," and looks at Nomad. "Yep, that'd be it," and hands you the scroll. And then
Nomad would take it and... Is it tied or sealed?
it is sealed.
Nomad would gently open the seal and unravel it and read it.
It is from Devirus,
Ah,
although the words don't seem to appear. So it says from Devirus, and the rest of it is all blank.
would I make a history or arcana on this?
Arcana. No clue.
Nomad would kind of look back to the creature and say, "I assume there is some way to reveal what is written here, but I do not know it."
She's passing, sealing up her bag and everything, puts it back on her back, and she just kind of looks at it. "Oh, yeah, fire letter. Only revealed by, fire."
Nomad would nod, reach into his pack, pull out a match, and light it.
About a word or two would be revealed as you pass the flame over it, and then quickly fades away. "Consistent. fire. Like, big fire.
Nomad kind of says, I'll have to read it later.
That's fair. I don't care how you read it. My job's to deliver it. And off I go to the king. Alright. She just kind of looks around. You're a strange bunch, aren't you?
This coming from you.
Hey! Hey! I resent that.
That's
If you don't
fair.
mind me asking, what
Oh.
exactly are you besides a courier?
She just kind of looks at Elbrick, who is still, by her perceptive, is now speaking through fur,
Mm-hmm.
as she cannot see through Samson.
She thinks the dog is talking. Just
Did you get eaten?
No, I'm just behind the dog.
And you see her just kind of like clamber up and look over, and you're now face to face with this fox-faced creature. I'm a Dullafox,
Oh, fuck.
also known as a dream hare.
Nomad did briefly glance through the book about the Dream Wilds. Would he have seen anything about those?
They are a very rare species, and as such, a Dullafox is primarily a foxed form with other animals or creatures bonded to it. But a dream hare is the general term of what they are.
Nomad would say, I did not know your kind ventured outside the Dream Wilds.
Neither did I, but here I am. She gets her pack on completely, pulls the goggles back down, and while they are not tinted or like really meant to like augment vision, it seems more or less that it's meant to keep dust and wind out of the
It
eyes.
is a windshield.
Mm-hmm. But yes,
Nomad.
Tyrell actually encountered this one about a month and a half prior.
Yeah. Nomad would a thought would occur to him and he would say, do we owe postage?
No. That's all
Well,
set.
Good travels.
You as well.
Wait. Are we able to send a message back?
You can if you'd like.
Oh yeah, I want to real quick.
And she pulls her bag out again, and she pulls out a paper, but doesn't have a quill or ink, but just puts her paw over top of the paper. And who is this going to be addressed to?
My guild master back in Orbix.
All right, it'll take probably about 3 days for me to get back there.
That's fine.
All right. What would you like your response to be?
It's just gonna be short and simple. Tell him I blame him for this, and that we have a lot of discussing to talk about when I get back.
All right. This is your fault. We'll talk when I come back. Got it.
Also, wait, yeah, one more. Just put P.S. Thanks for the mental scarring. That should cover it.
P.S. Therapy bill en route. Got it.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. Anything else?
No, that covers it for me.
All right. So this will be going to Heyman, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Word question, one word question, and purely for scientific facts, can I touch you?
Yes. She seems really caught off guard by that question. She just kind of thuds over and just kind of presents herself with a weird look.
Pet her like I do
Imagine
Samson.
her. She looks kind of like a wallaby, is how I'm picturing her.
And I pet her like I do Samson.
You just pet her.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "That's okay. Are you?
Mm-hmm.
Is it all you needed to know?"
Yep, totally good. Thank you.
Absolutely. And she just trots off, and she just kind of looks back and, all right. Anyone need anything else?
Mm-mm. I'm good.
All right. Good travels to you all. And please hold tight to your horses. As she hops out the back of the wagon, you see her kind of tap her right foot twice, and then just seems to like bristle up. Her tails fold in and her ears fold back. She pulls the goggles down tight and secure, and then you see her take 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps, and then she's gone.
Gone. Like goddamn Roadrunner. She probably even said meep meep. Meep, meep.
Meep, meep.
Mhm. And
All
I
right.
assume at this point we are pulling into Ashstone.
You will be pulling your way into Ashstone. And at that point, I think it's cool to call that a session.
So yeah,
We will be picking up. You guys all agreed that next week we could do something.
Yep.
We will be picking up as you guys are entering into Ashstone. And again, it's about midday. And you have had your wonderful encounter with Intrix, as well as I literally just rolled some dice quietly to see if you would encounter Klee, and you encountered Klee as well. But next we pick up, the whole group of you will be rolling into Ashstone.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be picking this up again next week. So